What's up, everyone? I hope you are doing awesome today. It is Thursday, February 13th, day before Valentine's Day, and we are here for yet another episode of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. This is episode number 45. My name is Raphael Garcia, and as always, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this show and let us know what you think about our content when it comes to professional wrestling. You can always catch me at rgarcia_sports on Twitter. You can follow MMA Ratings at MMA Ratings Net on Instagram and Twitter. You can also catch us on YouTube here at the MMA Ratings YouTube channel and at MMARatings.net, where we post all of our content about combat sports. And don't forget, our MMA podcast is on Tuesdays, where Shawan and I are talking about MMA and other combat sports news. So thank you again for taking the time to check out our content and enjoy us whenever you can, whether it be right after the show is posted or days later. But either way, we appreciate your time. So tonight we're going to be talking about the typical stuff, WWE and AEW, looking at NXT Portland, giving a quick preview of that, looking back to yesterday's shows and Monday's show as well, and just kind of getting some quick hits of some news bites as well. So starting with topic number one, we got WWE, where the biggest news of the day was in reference to Simone Johnson. While you may not recognize the name Simone Johnson, it is really imperative that you know who her father is, and that is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Simone Johnson was just signed to the Performance Center, and it looks like she's going to follow in family footsteps. The Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson, just passed last month. We all know who The Rock is. We all know who that family is, and what they've been about and what they mean to professional wrestling as a whole. And now we have Simone entering the Performance Center, and this is a story that's kind of been brewing over the last couple of years, where there's been noise about her wanting to be a professional wrestler, and it looks like she's definitely taking that first step. And the pressure on her is going to be huge because A, look at the family she comes from, but B, look at who her dad is. Her dad is not only, I believe, he's the biggest star that professional wrestling has ever produced. Maybe not necessarily while he was wrestling, but look at what he's done since. I mean, there really isn't any arguing that he is a massive, massive star. And it may be one of the most important action heroes of the last 10 years or something like that, potentially. So yeah, she is going to be under a lot of pressure, and the generational wrestlers are always under a lot of pressure. I mean, everyone isn't a Charlotte Flair, everyone isn't a Randy Orton, everyone isn't a who else is a big second or third generation star. I mean, I can't even really think of too many outside of those two. Like you have Charlotte Flair, you have Randy Orton, you have who else? I can't even really think of a whole bunch else, and that's just brain freeze right now. But we've seen more failures than we've seen successes. I mean, you have Natty Neidhart. She's a success in my opinion, but there's going to be people going back and forth about that because for every one of those individuals that has been a star and who has reached a level of excellence, there's multiple others that have failed along the way. So she's going to be under a lot of pressure, and you know that The Rock is going to have a close eye on this situation because he's going to want his daughter to be not necessarily favored, but protected when she's in the performance center, and if she does make it to live TV, protected there as well. So this is going to be an interesting story to watch. I mean, I expect there to be some time passes before she gets onto TV, but I'm excited to hear this. I'm excited to see where this leads and kind of what this means for the continuation of the Johnson name in professional wrestling. So from there, I wanted to move on to some quick hits from Raw this past weekend. I mean, Raw it was another good show. They've been giving us good content for the last 4 or 5 weeks, depending on who you ask. I've been enjoying the show. I've been making it a point to catch it. Probably about 2 or 3 months ago, Raw was TV you could miss. That's kind of how SmackDown is for me right now. I'm not really enjoying SmackDown too much. I may watch it tomorrow because I'll be home. But excuse me, the Monday Night Raw shows have been very good, and this was another one that was definitely enjoyable from start to finish. I just wanted to hit some of the high notes though, because I'm going to be focusing mostly on NXT in this episode. And the two big notes that I wanted to talk about were Shayna Baszler's arrival, and B, Matt Hardy. it looks like he had his send off. So we lose one and we gain one. So with Shayna Baszler, I'm a fan of Shayna. I'm a fan of what she did in NXT. I'm a fan of her title reign. I'm just a fan of her, period. I hope this biting gimmick isn't real. I mean, as soon as it happened, I saw it. I was like, please tell me Vince didn't look at Shayna and say, hey, she looks like a vampire. Let's make her run out there and bite people and play that angle up all day, every day, because that's just not a good look. It's not the way to go. She is someone that should be out there beating the brakes off of people every single day, and that being that. But it looks like they are putting her in a position where she is going to be just some type of mauler or something like that. Because I mean, I just saw this and I was like, that just doesn't look good. Yes, she's elevated right to the title picture. We knew that was going to happen. We knew she was going to be slotted against Becky right from the start. But why did she have to do the biting gimmick? Someone help me understand that piece. Why can't she just be the woman that's out there beating people up? Why can't she just be beating the shit out of people? Why does she have to be biting Becky Lynch? And will she be biting other women now too? Is that going to be her thing? She beats them up and then she bites them after the match. Is that going to be the whole angle? I hope it's not. But there's just so much to really unpack there that it's just so problematic and so stupid, for lack of a better term, just so freaking stupid. So let's see what happens from that. But she is on the main roster now. That opens up some space for the NXT women's roster to see what they look like over an extended period of time. And she's a legit contender for Becky Lynch. So I hope that angle continues to grow, and I hope it leads to something better than, again, Shayna Baszler biting Becky Lynch on the back, and that being the big thing. We saw Becky come back. It was basically like a Stone Cold segment where she hopped in the ambulance, took the ambulance, and then comes back under her own power, says a couple things in the ring, and then leaves. So I'm not enjoying this. I enjoy both of those women in the ring. I enjoy both of those women. Their the full manifestation of their characters. But this kickoff right here, I'm just not too hyped about it. But again, as we've seen with a lot of other stuff, to give it time. Let's see what happens. But on the other hand, we got Matt Hardy getting his send off, and yeah, man, this was kind of sad. So the way this went down was Randy Orton was in the ring talking about why he attacked Edge, and Matt Hardy came down. And what, again, seemed to be like a very sincere segment, talking about the issues he's had with Edge over the years and how, he's never been Edge's biggest fan. They had their problems, and then they became friends again, and how he didn't appreciate what Randy did to Edge. So they had their back and forth, and then we see Orton attempt to RKO Matt. He fights out of it for a second, but then he eventually eats the RKO and then takes a concerto. He tweeted out after that a goodbye, and a picture of him walking out to the ring. So it looks like that might be it. We know that WWE has been trying to re-sign him for the last couple of months, but he wants to be more active. He wants to do more with his characters. A lot of people are expecting him to end up in AEW and end up a part of the Dark Order segments in the Dark Order group, whatever that may be. But we'll have to kind of wait that out. Not Matt House, excuse me. AEW's been doing a great job signing up some big names. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but he would be another good addition. I mean, he could still kind of do some things in the ring, but he is a creative mind outside of. I mean, he's one of the best creative minds in the industry today because he just does. It's almost as if he tries to one up himself and come up with more and more weird shit each and every time. So I'm interested in seeing what's next for Matt Hardy. I've always liked him more than Jeff, to be honest, and like let's just kind of see what's next for him. If he never ends up in the WWE again, he's a Hall of Famer in my book, easily, definitely tag team and individual as well. I hope that he gets an opportunity to continue being creative in professional wrestling. But if that was a send off, thank you, Matt, as we always say it with these chants. So then that brings me to NXT, which was a go-home show for Portland, NXT TakeOver Portland, which is this Sunday. And to be honest, this wasn't that great of a show. And the reason why is because it was fairly predictable. They gave us great matches, but you knew who was going to win in every single match. Like, you knew that except for one, you knew what was going to occur in some way, shape, or form. I liked the Bronson Reed versus Roderick Strong match. It was a little long, and I thought there was a slight moment where Bronson Reed was going to get the win when the Velveteen Dream smoke started flowing from the top of the ramp and the lights changed. I thought that Bronson Reed was going to catch Strong sleeping, but that did not happen, and Strong got the win. But this was a good back and forth match. It shows Bronson can do some things. Roddy can make anyone look good. But again, like with Bronson taking the loss, I don't see what's next for him. I don't see him going anywhere quite yet. And this is a good way to make Strong look strong heading into his match next week with the Velveteen Dream. But he already kind of did, right? Then we had Dakota Kai versus Candice LeRae. And again, you knew Dakota Kai was going to win this match one way or another by hook or by crook. Candice LeRae is a solid wrestler. I love what she does in the ring. She has the makeup of being a big time babyface champion. I think she'll get booked that way at some point in time. I just don't see it happening right now. She can go. She might be the best wrestler on the women's roster within NXT. She can definitely work with anyone, and she doesn't. And her size isn't necessarily a hindrance to her. This was a good match back and forth. She's tough as shit too. She got busted open during this match, but Dakota Kai gets the pin, reversing the Gargano escape, and she gets attacked by Tegan Nox, and we're gonna be talking about that in a bit later as well. Speaking of Johnny Gargano, he had a match against Cameron Grimes. Again, you knew Gargano was going to win. You knew that Cameron Grimes didn't have any real chance of winning this match. But again, he goes out there and he puts on a great performance against Gargano. Those high angle German suplexes, I love them. I have every intention on using them against someone when I get an opportunity, when I go back to training myself. But this was a good match. Cameron Grimes, I know he can go in the ring. I've seen his stuff with Ebola. I've seen him stuff in other organizations. I just hate his look. I used to live in Burlington, North Carolina, and I remember seeing Hicks that looked like him who didn't like people who looked like me. So when I see Cameron Grimes and I hear that he's from Burlington, North Carolina, he's really from Cameron, North Carolina, I'm like, yeah, not the greatest of memories, but again, I can't blame him for that, but still, it's just something that kind of stands out to me. But all in all, that was definitely a good match, and it was worth going back and seeing. We also got Bianca Belair and Santana Garrett. This was the everything they've been doing with Bianca Belair so far has been right. There's just one little piece they got to get right on Sunday, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But this here was fantastic to me. She squashes the shit out of Santana Garrett, waves her ass off to go back to backstage. You see, and this is a perfect camera shot too, because as Bianca's waving her hand back, like, "Hey, get out of my ring," you see Santana stomping up the ramp after she just took that L. But she got her ass whooped. Rhea Ripley comes out, and they get into a brief scuffle with Belair being out on top, hitting the KOD, and basically posing over Ripley's prone body. Now, usually this means that individual that is left standing at the end of the go-home show doesn't win at the pay-per-view. That's usually the trend. I'm not expecting Bianca Belair to win on Sunday, but I am hoping for something different. I'm going to get to the preview for NXT Portland in a second, but it was a good squash match to me for Belair. Then we got the main event where we got my boy Kushida going up against Adam Cole, and there's no way this was going to be a bad match, right? You knew this was going to be fantastic from jump, and that's exactly what they gave us. I never realized before last night that his entrance when he taps his watch, the light switch, and when he taps it back, it turned back to normal. Why have I never noticed that before? I don't know, but that blew me. Kushida's my guy. I've been a fan of his since, even before he was in New Japan. I'm just like, he's just the shit to me. And maybe it's the MMA background, maybe it's his size, he just gets it done. But I like that he's in NXT and they recognize who he is. He isn't getting that placement, but I'm kind of okay with that because you could easily see him being slid into the title picture. You can see him putting on great matches with Finn, with Adam, with Tommaso. You can see him putting on some great matches with anybody at any moment in time. So I'm kind of okay with where he is right now, and I hope we do get to see him with the title or in the main event picture within NXT at some point in time. But Adam Cole gets the win, and then him and Ciampa have a stare down. So that takes me into the preview for NXT Portland, which the NXT TakeOver Portland, which is this Sunday, the 16th, and at, you guessed it, in Portland, Oregon. And we have a couple of different matches to talk about. I'm going to start with the Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox match because I don't give a fuck about this match. I get it from a storyline standpoint. They've been building this up. You know, both of them came back from knee injuries. They've been friends. They've been teaming together. They did the turn. I mean, I think everything about the turn was very well placed, very well booked. But why is Dakota Kai a heel? What about her makes her a heel? Because she wears her hair differently? Because she wears her jacket open now? Um, like what? It's almost the same thing with Bayley, and then some of the complaints people have about Bayley's character as a heel. But in my opinion, it's a little bit worse. Like, why do I care about this match and these two women fighting? I think Nox is going to get the victory, but even if she does, why do I care? I think neither one of these two women are a main event picture to me. I think there's a slew of other ladies on the NXT roster I would put ahead of them when it comes to the main event picture. So why do I care about this matchup here? Why couldn't they switch? Well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to say, but this match could be flipped with the Velveteen Dream Roderick Strong matches on next week, and I'll be okay with that. But you know, it is what it is. They're getting some. They're going to be in a street fight, so you can expect a prototypical walk and brawl. But I expect Tegan Nox to get the win. We have Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic, and I hope they keep that title on Lee. I hope they keep building him up. People are excited about this guy. Dominic is good. I mean, he's a good dude that can get in the ring. He can do some ridiculous ass shit, but he's not Keith Lee in my opinion. And like I said, Keith Lee kind of sold me as he's been featured more on NXT because when he first came over, I was like not that excited. But now watching him go, I am hyped anytime Keith Lee's on my TV, and I know that this is going to be a good match. I wonder how they're going to diversify it from the others that they've had lately, but I think that they're both going to deliver from start to finish. We have Undisputed Era and the Broserweights. I'm here for this match. You know this is going to be a fantastic match. It's going to have funny spots. It's going to have some hard-hitting spots. It's going to have some great technical wrestling, some great striking. This is probably going to be the match, in my opinion, that easily steals the show. I expect the Broserweights to win and to become champions. But you hear a lot of people talking about the idea that they don't want Riddle and Dunn paired together for too long, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. And the reason being is because yeah, you want to see them split and you want to see them feud against each other at some point in time in the future, but I wonder just how long they can be valuable together. And I do like kind of how they play off of each other. But again, I do see a situation where Pete Dunne gets fed up with Matt Riddle's bullshit. They end up feuding and they go from there. But who else do they have in the tag team title picture that is interesting outside of the Undisputed Era and the Bruiserweights? I would like to see Mustache Mountain with the belts again, but they're not on this show. So who else do you really get hyped about when it comes to the tag team picture within NXT? They had the Time Splitters, but you saw what they did with them. So, I mean, I'm not even going to jump back into that again. So we have Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. This is a hard match to call who's going to pick up the win. In my opinion, and the reason why I'm going to say this is because it's going to give away who I think's winning the heavyweight match. But I think Finn Balor wins here. I think it'll be a great match between these two. But I see Finn getting the win. No intention on arriving there. But him and Johnny Gargano are going to tear it the hell up. I think they're going to put on a great match. It's going to be very intense. A lot of hard hitting spots. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they tell that story. But I believe that Finn's going to get the win because Tommaso is going to get the win in the not in the main event, in the men's heavyweight title match. So we're going to end up in a situation where the Undisputed Era, prophecy is over. They no longer have all the gold. And Tommaso Ciampa is going to end up, I think he's going to have maybe one more match with Cole at some point in time in the future. But I think Finn Balor is going to be the next contender for him, or the first contender up for him after Adam Cole. That's why I believe he gets this win over Johnny Gargano. I wonder, has Finn taken any losses since being in NXT? I think the only one he took was in that triple threat. And I'm not even sure if he's the one that got pinned in that. I'll have to go back and look, check out Cage Match in a second to kind of follow up on that. But I do wonder if he has taken any losses. But I do see him being the individual that comes out with the win in this match here. But I believe it has better long-term value than Johnny Gargano, because we've already seen him against Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa. Now that brings me to what should be the main event of the evening with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. As I said earlier, I do not expect Bianca to pin Rhea. It's too early in Rhea's reign as a champion for that to happen. She's being booked like a massive, invincible superhero, and I am okay with that. But I do not want them to forget about Bianca Belair in this build up to this match with Charlotte. What I would like to see is these two women have a great 15, maybe 20-minute matchup. We get to the finish, and Charlotte comes down and fucks that shit up. I don't care if she costs Bianca the match and Rhea still gets the pin. Because what needs to happen the next day on Monday Night Raw, Bianca Belair needs to show up on Raw and give Charlotte Flair that work. Give her that work. The same way she beat the shit out of Carmella during NXT Invasion, the same way she beat the shit out of other women. I think it was Alexa Bliss that she threw over the boxes or whatever. Maybe that was Carmella. I can't really remember. But if they have Charlotte come in and get involved in this main event, have her cost Bianca the match, she needs to be on Raw the next day, putting the boots to Charlotte Flair. This match at WrestleMania needs to be a triple threat because it's an opportunity for WWE Creative to give the rub to two women instead of just one. And Bianca, the fans are here for Bianca right now. Everything she does gets over. Her catchphrases, her dances, her whipping the hair, 450 splash she does, the KOD, which I'm calling the King of Diamonds. I'm not calling it the Kiss of Death. There's a reason why I'm calling it that. If you don't know, Google it. Google the Atlanta Strip Club, King of Diamonds, KOD. But that's neither here nor there. Bianca Belair needs to be included in this triple threat, but she does not need to win this match to get there. I do not think she defeats Rhea Ripley on Sunday, but I think she needs to do something to Charlotte Flair on Monday Night Raw to be included in that storyline. They had an opportunity last week that they skipped out on, and I thought that they were going to have happen. They skipped out on it last week, but let's see what happens, because I do think that Bianca Belair has value to be in that triple threat, and all three women could get some shine. Last year we were complaining when Charlotte Flair got added into a triple threat match because it wasn't needed when she was slotted in there with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. It helped, but it wasn't needed. This time, it's not needed, but it will help two of the three women if Bianca Belair is included in there. So I need that to happen. But that is my preview for TakeOver Portland, which is going down this Sunday. I will be watching that. I will be doing a recap show right after that on Sunday as well. So stay tuned to the Twitter, to the YouTube channel to get that content once it goes up. We're going to move into AEW, and there's a lot to talk about from that show on Wednesday. Let's go ahead and kind of go into that. Give me 1 second. So there's a couple things I want to talk about from AEW this past week. I'm not going to dive into the whole show. But yeah, let's go ahead and kind of talk about that. The first thing I want to talk is SCU versus Page and Omega, and obviously Page and Omega get the win. They retain the tag team titles. This is going to continue furthering the angle about Page being an alcoholic. So there's that. Like I said last week, I wonder what the final outcome of this storyline is going to be. Who is going to be the one to turn heel? It has to be Omega and the Bucks, because they can't go with the angle of Adam Page being some drunk who gets mad at his friends, and his friends are just trying to help him. That's not the right storyline to go with this. So I'm looking forward to seeing what story they're telling here. It's been great. As I said, I was not interested in Adam Page any longer. This storyline got me interested back in Adam Page as a wrestler. So they're doing everything right here. The only thing I didn't like about this was the fact that SCU had to take another loss. I thought SCU was getting booked into being something special, especially Scorpio Sky. He didn't take the pin there. Again, I want to see him more protected. I would love to see him as a single star. I thought that's the angle that they were going with Christopher Daniel being Christopher Daniel being in the tag team with Kazarian and Scorpio being the single standout. But we'll see. There's still time. Again, it doesn't have to be rushed. There's still time. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. And, I mean, it is what it is there. Nyla Rose versus Riho. Nyla Rose gets the title. People have been complaining about Riho being champion and not being around. I was listening. I think Sean Ross Sapp was joking that Brock Lesnar's been on more shows this year than Rio's been on AEW. And, I mean, the numbers don't lie. So, yeah, I can understand how that is a problem for people. I understand how there's issues there. But they got the belt off of Riho. Now they got it on Nyla Rose. So let's see what's next for that. I don't know where they go with her immediately because Britt Baker's a heel. So I doubt they're gonna do Baker versus Rose immediately. So let's see what they go. Let's see what they do next. Maybe Chris Statlander, but then you gotta wonder like, is Nyla Rose nothing more than a transitional champion, and are they really ready to put that belt on Statlander, especially after what they saw in that title match? So yeah, but they did get the belt off of her. People been complaining. People been upset about that for a long time. They wanted the belt off of Rio, and they finally got their wish because now she is no longer a champion. I thought it was a good match. I thought she looked good in a competitive match. But again, I've never had too many issues with her. I definitely think there are some underlying issues with why people hate her so much, but that's another conversation for another day. I talk about that quite a lot. Jungle Boy versus MJF. Again, this is a good win for MJF. Jungle Boy keeps taking losses. I don't think they hurt him as much as everybody's saying right now, but at some point in time, he's going to get a win, and that'll be a major moment. I don't think that they're going to use this as an angle for Luchasaurus to like get mad at Jungle Boy and turn on them, but I do think Jungle Boy's gonna get a win. At some point in time, he's gonna catch somebody slipping, and that'll be a big moment for him. So let's see what that looks like. But again, this was a good win for MJF. He continues to come off as a major dick in everything that he does, and I mean that's kind of where he's thriving right now. So there was that match. And what else did I want to talk about from the show? The main event. So Moxley versus Santana was more of the same, with Moxley fighting against the Inner Circle, fighting each one of the members there before he can get to Chris Jericho. The big thing here was the inclusion of Jeff Cobb. Everybody was already talking about him. They were talking about him before the match, which was perfect because you don't want Cobb to come in there and people being like, who is this guy? He needs to stand out. And that is exactly what happened here. He needs to stand out. I mean, the way that the Inner Circle beat down Moxley and then called Cobb down to the ring to kind of finish the job, okay, whatever it may be. But the fact that they got him, the fact that they introduced him first, showed his vignette, showed who he was, showed him out there wreaking havoc, and then brought him down to the ring to hit the Tour of the Islands on Moxley. I think that does much better than the way they introduced new characters in the past. The Butcher and the Blade, when I was watching that episode, that moment when the Butcher and the Blade came out was the moment I turned and didn't turn back. Luther, I was flipping back and forth. I saw him on my TV. I turned and didn't turn back. So they need to do more of these type of introductions for the people that we know, we being the hardcore fan base know, but that everybody won't know. So it was a good introduction. Jeff Cobb, man, he looks like a combination of Taz and Rhino. The dude can go. He can go with anybody his size. He can go with bigger men. He can go with smaller men. Like, he is like this iteration of Taz. He is a legit wrestler. He's competed against guys like Yoel Romero, who's out there fighting for the UFC title, and is a silver medalist, I think, in the Olympics. I believe he's a silver medalist. I'm not sure about if I believe Yoel Romero is a silver medalist. But Jeff Cobb competed against him. He's legit, 110% legit. So I like to see those type of guys get into this situation here. I just hope he doesn't stay in the Inner Circle. I am not a fan of that faction. I don't know, I'm kind of iffy on Sammy Guevara. I'm not the biggest fan. I like LAX, but like I always fucking say it. I like LAX. I'm not a fan of Sammy Guevara. Fucking not a fan of Jake Hager, and everyone knows that I love Chris Jericho through and through. So let's see what Jeff Cobb does. I hope he doesn't stay as a part of this faction, but I think it is a good introduction for him. What I believe is that, he'll be a mercenary, like Chris Jericho is describing him being a mercenary, and then someone's just going to pay more money for his services, and he'll turn against Inner Circle. That's what I would do. That's how I would book it, but we'll see what happens in the future. We will be doing a preview of AEW Revolution, which is scheduled for the 29th, the end of this month. I will probably watch that. I don't think I work, so I will probably watch that as well. So there is that. I'll be doing a recap show about that pay-per-view later on this month. But that is it, folks. Um, that's all I wanted to talk about for this week's edition of the show. I wasn't going to do one, but I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and throw one out here so we can have some lead in to this Sunday's pay-per-view. Again, so I appreciate you all taking the time to listen to episode 45 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. My name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports on Twitter, and you can follow me there. Please be sure to follow MMA Ratings Net and catch all of that content as well. You can check us out at MMA Ratings Net on MMA to go to our website to listen to all or read all of our content there. MMA Ratings on YouTube and MMA Ratings Net on Instagram and Twitter as well. So as always, thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Thank you for your support. Please be sure to subscribe and share all of our content so we can get more people listening to what we have to say. Remember, our MMA podcast is on Tuesdays with me and Shawan Humes. We usually put that up about 11:30, and then we kind of keep promoting that throughout the week. But either way, thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time. Please have a safe holiday or safe holiday weekend if you don't have to work on Monday. It is Valentine's Day weekend, so be safe with that as well. That's tomorrow. Either or. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll be back on Sunday.